On the evening of April 17, 2019, at around 8 p.m., Bradley Welsh had just finished a grueling workout at the Holyrood Boxing Gym in Edinburgh, a place he had built from the ground up. He was in the prime of his life, physically fit and mentally strong, having worked tirelessly to leave behind the troubled past that had once defined him. Bradley had grown to become a beloved figure in his community, known for his contributions to local charity work, especially helping at-risk youth find direction through boxing. After the session, Bradley walked out into the fresh evening air, the streets of Edinburgh calm as the sun dipped below the horizon. He parked his blue Fiat Uno across the street from his flat, located in the new town area of Edinburgh on Chester Street. This was home to him, a modest yet comfortable place where he lived with his partner and young child. As Bradley made his way down the steps toward his flat, he was greeted by a friendly neighbor, a brief but familiar exchange before the tragic events unfolded. In an ordinary moment, as he walked toward his front door, he had no idea that this would be his last journey. Out of nowhere, a man appeared from the shadows and shot him at point-blank range in the head, leaving Bradley lifeless on the pavement. The loud, shocking sound of the gunshot echoed through the still night, immediately drawing the attention of the neighbor. The man rushed out, only to find Bradley already dead, his body slumped in the street, his life extinguished in an instant. The assassin had not cared about the bloodshed, nor the public nature of his crime. Inside Bradley's apartment, his family remained unaware of the tragedy that had just struck. His partner, a woman who had seen the positive changes in Bradley's life over the years, would soon learn that the man she loved was gone. Bradley Welsh's death shocked not only his family, but the entire city of Edinburgh. He wasn't a criminal or a gang member. He was a man who had spent years trying to atone for his troubled past, a man who had fought his way out of the darkness and into the light. His story was tragic, not only because of his death, but because of the senseless violence that took it away. Bradley Welsh's life was far from ordinary, shaped by experiences that most people could never imagine. Born in Edinburgh, he spent much of his early years entangled in the city's criminal underworld. As a teenager, he became involved with the Capital City Service, a notorious group of football hooligans. Their violent clashes with rival supporters became a defining part of Bradley's early identity, a reflection of the anger and turmoil that he felt growing up. In his late teens, Bradley's criminal lifestyle led him down a dangerous path. He was convicted for his involvement in a protection racket, and his time behind bars became a turning point. However, instead of sinking deeper into a life of crime, Bradley decided to change. Upon his release, he sought out a new way of life and found boxing. In 1993, Bradley walked into a local gym, where he was introduced to the sport that would forever change his life. He quickly proved to be a natural, earning his place in the boxing world. By the time he was 23, Bradley had already won the British Amateur Lightweight Championship. His dedication to the sport was unparalleled, and it soon became clear that boxing was more than just a hobby. It was his calling. At 24, Bradley turned professional and his career blossomed. He went on to win 8 out of his 9 professional fights, solidifying his status as a promising boxer. But Bradley's true passion lay not just in fighting for himself, but in helping others. After retiring from competitive boxing, he opened the Holyrood Boxing Gym in 2005, where he became a mentor to countless young people. The gym was a place for troubled youth to find direction, offering them a refuge from the streets and the opportunity to learn discipline and respect. Bradley was not just teaching boxing, he was teaching life skills. Many of the kids who came to the gym were from underprivileged backgrounds, and Bradley's influence helped them stay out of trouble. His gym became a sanctuary, a beacon of hope for those who had none. Despite his success in boxing and community work, Bradley Welsh was not immune to controversy. His past, however hard he tried to escape it, followed him. In 2010, Bradley appeared in Danny Dyer's Deadliest Men, a documentary that highlighted the lives of notorious criminals. In the series, Bradley spoke about his youth and his involvement with the CCS, giving Danny Dyer a tour of Edinburgh's most dangerous neighborhoods. At the time, Bradley was known as a man who had been involved in violent incidents, and many still saw him as a product of his rough upbringing. His appearance on the show only reinforced this image. Bradley's connection to violence wasn't limited to his past affiliations. In 2014, after a frustrating experience with the airline Jet2, he gained national attention when he printed 15,000 leaflets criticizing the company for losing his suitcase. He joked that the bag contained Viagra and that losing it ruined his Valentine's Day plans. His bold, rebellious nature was evident in this small act of defiance, but it also spoke to his unwillingness to back down from any challenge, no matter how trivial it seemed. Though he had worked hard to leave his past behind, Bradley struggled to move beyond the tough guy image that many had of him. In 2017, he made a cameo in Trainspotting 2, playing the role of Mr. Doyle, a gang boss. It was a small part in an iconic film, but it was another step in Bradley's efforts to break free from the stereotypes of his past. Despite this, he continued to find himself pigeonholed into roles that reflected his tough exterior, both in the media and in public perception. On that fateful evening in April 2019, as Bradley made his way back to his apartment, the unthinkable happened. The gunman, Sean Orman, had been lying in wait for Bradley. Orman, a man with a history of violent behavior but no formal ties to organized crime, was a pawn in a larger, darker game. When he pulled the trigger, Bradley never had a chance. The shot rang out, and the life of one of Edinburgh's most beloved figures was taken in an instant. As Bradley's neighbor stepped outside to enjoy a cigarette, the sound of the gunshot echoed through the street. Turning around, he saw Orman, shotgun in hand, standing over Bradley's lifeless body. The shooter looked directly at him and ordered him not to look. Terrified, the neighbor immediately fled into his apartment, too afraid to act, knowing that the gunman was still on the loose. Orman didn't care that he had committed murder in a busy area, nor that his actions were being witnessed by passers-by. After firing the fatal shot, he fled the scene and jumped into a stolen Ford Cougar. Paramedics arrived at the scene within minutes, but it was too late. Bradley Welsh was dead. The police immediately launched a murder investigation, but the case quickly became complicated. They had few leads. CCTV footage, however, provided crucial evidence, showing the gunman fleeing the scene. He was described as a man in his 20s or 30s, slim with a tan, wearing distinctive footwear. The police, using this information, managed to narrow down their search to a man named Sean Orman. Orman, a violent offender with a history of criminal activity, was soon identified as the prime suspect. But Orman was no easy target. Days after the shooting, he was seen driving a vehicle at high speeds through Edinburgh. When police attempted to pull him over, he fled the scene, initiating a high-speed chase that reached speeds of over 120 miles per hour. The chase continued for miles, with Orman driving recklessly and ignoring the danger to others. Finally, police were able to stop him using a stinger device, and Orman was arrested. The investigation quickly revealed that Bradley's murder had been orchestrated as part of a larger gangland conflict between rival factions in Edinburgh and Glasgow. It was revealed that Orman had been paid £10,000 to kill Bradley Welsh. The motivation behind the murder was linked to an ongoing feud involving Mark Richardson, a notorious figure from Edinburgh's criminal world. Bradley, who had spent years trying to mediate between the rival factions, had become a target. His involvement in trying to calm tensions between the two gangs made him a threat to some, and his death was ordered by those who stood to gain from his removal. Dean White, a man who had once worked with Orman, bravely came forward as a witness, providing crucial testimony that helped unravel the conspiracy behind Bradley's The trial of Sean Orman took place in 2020. Despite his defense team trying to discredit Dean White's testimony, the jury found Orman guilty of both murder and attempted murder. He was sentenced to a minimum of 28 years in prison. However, the case didn't end there. The investigation into the circumstances surrounding Bradley's death raised questions about whether police had done enough to prevent the murder, given that warnings had been issued in advance. Bradley's family was devastated by the loss, but they were determined to seek justice. They rejected an apology from Police Scotland, believing that the police had failed to act on critical information in time to save Bradley's life. They continued to fight for accountability, demanding that those responsible for the failure to prevent the murder be held accountable. In the years that followed, Bradley Welsh's memory lived on, not just in the hearts of his family, but in the many lives he had touched through his boxing gym and charity work. A mural near Easter Road Stadium became a tribute to his legacy, a lasting reminder that while Bradley's life was tragically cut short, his influence on the community would endure. That is our video for today. Like and subscribe and let us know in the comments section what you think of today's story, and I will see you on the next video.